Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. This is Shelley with Spirit of Matter, and this is a Mars hour, and the ascendant is ruled by Mars on a moon day. And Mars is in Cancer, and this is a great time to talk all things Mars. So, I was receiving kind of like weird energies of like Donald Trump. And that was just like seeing the energy. So this episode is going to allow that weirdness to be. And I was pondering what about that, and what about his role, because I predict Trump to be more relevant with Pluto in Aquarius. And then I try to look at the chart, and immediately when I see for the Trump chart, and I kind of like think about the interaction, I was thinking about banking, and I was thinking about the problems that, let's say, every citizen has with their bank are very close to the problem that a business person has with their bank. In terms of you have to get in debt in order to keep a good credit score. This is also how countries go into debt, because they have to keep a good credit score. Okay, I remember Richard Grannon during COVID, and he's a businessman as well, and he said the first time he went to get loan from the bank, he thought he would have no problem with the credit score. Now here's what you have to understand. Once he would take the loan, he would become a credit score because he simply has no history of violation. Is how I would be like your bonds, because I never use credit. But there's another form of credit score which matters when you need to take a loan for like buying a house or mortgage. That's what he needed, something like that. And the bank said, listen, we don't know you. We don't know you because you never taken a loan by us. We don't know you, and we don't know what credit score you will make. Okay? So and he said, well, I thought the fact that I never used a loan shows that I know how to manage with money. But that's not what the bank wants. The bank wants to see transactions, and the bank wants to see interests, and the bank wants to make money move. Okay? Even if we remove for the cynicism a little bit, money needs to move. Okay, money grows on trees. Money needs to move, and when money doesn't move, it basically rots. Okay, you think about if you have a tree growing in the soil, it constantly has inner movement. But if you take that tree and you cut that tree, and you let it rot, okay, you might make essential oil out of that tree. And there are some resources, okay, like gold, like metals, that's the purpose. Okay, it's kind of like the rotting tree. Then you make something that keeps the value. But for most things, you put it out there. If I put my coffee out there and I invested a lot in that coffee, that coffee is gonna rot. Okay, it's got milk. I give it 1-2 days depending on the climate, and maybe I put some nice words in it because that affects the water. But if it doesn't move, it's going to rot. It's going to be useless. And when it comes to your ability to make money move, this is what the bank wants to see, because the bank is making your money move for them mainly, and not enough for you, whether you are Donald Trump or Jane Fonda. Okay. Whatever. Okay, or just common person. And so I was thinking like, hey, well, the problems we have are pretty similar. We're not the bank. And then immediately the energy of Elon Musk popped in, kind of like wanted to listen. Because Elon Musk is the bank. Okay, he's doing, I think of the Mars Rahu with Elon Musk as kind of like a JP Morgan, a modern day JP Morgan. And it's also in his 8th house of investments. And he's indeed building on really so many things. Okay, he's owning a country. He's creating a country on Mars. And that means for the currency, it means for the energy, it means for the infrastructure and transportation, very likely agriculture as well. And unfortunately, surveillance and slavery, which I would rather not have part of the agenda. But who knows? Perhaps so would he. Okay, like it really goes down to that, and that kind of made me think about open decentralized systems. And the fact that if we go for the currency, if we go like the Bitcoin and all that stuff, immediately oh, that's lovely. Didn't know I have candy here. Yes, my beta per se wants to say something. So I'm gonna refresh the protection from malefic energies. Okay. And I was pondering about, if you think about Bitcoin, okay, or even the losses of JP Morgan, because JP Morgan trained JP Morgan, IBM, okay, they trained people to increase the whole of the toothpaste economy. And I'm getting ruder now, which is funny. Not funny at all, I understand it completely. But if I take into account the increase the whole of the toothpaste economy, and how it has, I talked about it in the past, but this is going to be a kind of like this Uranian scattered, me thinking with you, and yeah, all malefic energy back to sender. I think about JP Morgan, that they trained the generations of the double size hole in the toothpaste, which not only the fact that the toothpaste was already with fluoride and stuff like that was, that Feynman warned us about back in the days, but the fact that you basically increase your income by trickery and making people do stupid things. Okay, it's like you calibrate on the stupid actions of people rather than bringing value that's going to change the life of people beneficially. And I think what Elon Musk is trying to do in a way is kind of like find the middle way, which is something that he's still excited about doing, but not and knows that he has to adhere like to the rules of economy, or as they say, it has to be profitable. The generation of JP Morgan that allowed many people to get in debt, basically both created for our modern economy. Okay, JP Morgan had Pluto in Aquarius, and as Pluto is coming to Elon Musk's 8th house, it's something for me to observe and to think very, very well. It's also my 12th house of hidden wealth. And for Trump, that would be 7th house. So there is a changing of the notion of wealth and investments that the entire humanity can participate in. Okay, and so you have the genuine challenge of whether you want to simplify the algorithm so that every Tom, Dick, and Harry can press a couple of buttons and get yield to their investment, but that this is also given a power away, just like with democracy. Okay, it's given the power away to a certain degree, that to retrieve the power back might be challenging, even if that was not the initial intention. Okay, so we would have to be able to scale up the ability of the client to be involved, but we will also have to give them, through the veil of ignorance, the equity of opportunities to grow on that level. And when we talk about open source the safest security is open source. And if you talk about the Bitcoins, first of all, what made the Bitcoin fail, and I know that this is a drastic statement, and a lot of people don't see it that way, and so on. This is like, when it came to the intention of really having a decentralized currency that's accessible to most humanity, I think Bitcoin has currently failed, not in idea, but in practice. It doesn't mean we cannot change that or do something about it. It's just like, hey, that shit is not currently working out. We have corporations mining the Bitcoin, and I believe a part of what contributed to that failure is the generation of JP Morgan prodigy children. And I was refraining from being the IBM prodigy children because of that, the double hole toothpaste economy. That was what they wanted. Okay, if I look at IBM, they took us. I still remember the Dutch chocolate. Okay, when I was homeless in the Netherlands and somebody asked me what do I want and so on, I said I get food at the shelter, but I really want the Dutch chocolate. She take me to the best place possible. And it was COVID, and she bought out for me. It was very, very lovely. But the thing is that that's the thing that they did well. Okay, it was freaking IBM, and what I did not like, because we're all competing to be in that young entrepreneurship program in high school in Ramat Gan, Israel. High tech. Everything high-tech, everything technology, robotics, everything. And when you know nothing from your life, you really get excited about that. I was sitting there and really hoping that I would get the chance to meet for these exciting people and see, first of all, not give my patents and innovations I have since 12 or something like that, but definitely see before I give out, any creative idea, what do they want? And the examples that were given us were sitting inside, like, I think it was this oval shaped table, which is also the thing that they brought, if I remember this correctly. The oval shape is great for like meetings and stuff. But the thing is that they sit with us and they say the example of good entrepreneurship, and by our class, by the people that were sitting, there was one woman that had an idea for disabled community to have a technological advancement that assists them, whether they are needing to get up from a chair. I don't remember what exactly it was, and of course I wouldn't say the patent. It's like I would come up with my own innovation, but not, and I say that out loud to you, but not take from her. But the thing is that those things are really of value to the people. And I was sitting next to her, I'm like, I don't remember doing anything like that. Okay, but and by the time that I will have such things, it will already be implemented on the wrong. So the thing is that they sit with us and they say a good example of entrepreneurship is increasing the whole of the tooth pasta by 2, and that increased the income. And when this is what your investors want, these are the people who will be the first of all, if you got patents, you're not going to give it away, okay? Because those people that say that, they'll take your patent, you won't see anything from it. That's not even the case. That won't be developed. They will take the patent to store it, and they would not get it out to the public. And if it's a medical patent, if it's aiding the disabled community, if it's something that really gives value to the world, they will deprive people of this value and own the patent, okay? So you got to be really cautious about such meetings and such settings. And when I understood that this is what they want, I took 1,000 steps back, and I was really, really angered and disappointed, because I came here for entrepreneurship, which we're supposed to be competitive on the value of ideas that and how we manage to improve life for humanity, and market it, bridge it, of what we do, bridge the value to humanity. And I saw that so not happening. And this was so not happening, not because of my lack of skill, which I don't claim to have, okay, more than like the patent or the idea, but it was not because of my lack of skill. It was not even given the chance to exercise that skill with this fiscal system. Okay, they were obviously promoting the people who will come up with the double size hole for the tooth pasta. And whoever managed to do that, and if you think about the preservatives in food, the monosodium glutamate and other toxins you have in the food, they're basically meant to get you addicted to eating, but not really nourished. It's really much the same concept, and that's not something I would feel proud to take a part in. I think I had certain privilege because I wasn't growing in cults of secret societies and I wasn't tortured to death for satanic ritual abuse. And having to do that, unlike Elon, okay, or Trump, or Rutte, okay, or anybody that you can think of that is somebody. So I had a privilege to say, well, I'll try another thing. I'll try someplace else. They did not have this privilege. They could try some things, but within the cult. And that generation of the JP Morgan upbringing and the IBM upbringing of young entrepreneurs created the downfall for Saturn returned from the birthday of the people who created Bitcoin. They will be, or what was it, the FTC? Okay, that's the guy that got arrested, or I don't know if I think he tried to kill himself. I'm not sure like what happened with that. But that's the generation of people that would only thrive on cunning and trickery, let alone satanic abuse, which we didn't know about if you weren't inside the cult. Like we heard about these things, but it sounds like some story that somebody tells, while very likely in my own class there were people that went through that, or even most people that went through that. We were working class, but we were saved from satanic abuse by not being elite. And in that sense, that generation grew up into a generation of entrepreneurs that were castrated. And that's what is structurally and inherently led to the current collapse or failure of the Bitcoin currency, because you can have a decentralized system of currency, but someone has to mine it, and at a certain when that level is still based on the current economy, this is where things start to go off. And I think Elon is having this problem with Mars a lot right now, because the models that he worked with are models that are okay with slavery. And even though, and it's not like, how should I say it? I'll give you a closer example. When I was selling my mother's book with her door to door in Negev and Arava area, they were the people that worked in the agriculture, and they had foreigner workers, foreigner employees, and we asked them, why not hire Israelis? So they told us very simply, we have to compete the global market, and we would not survive if we would not adapt. And so the people that come from Thailand, the people that come from Philippines and other places, they are used to this type of work. They manufacture. Israelis cannot do this. It's not that they even don't want to. They cannot stand with the demands. Okay, and it's not because they're lazy or anything like that, but it's just inhumane. Okay, the demands are inhumane. And the owners of those agricultural places, okay, the farms and so on, they were not seeking to exploit people. They were not seeking to enslave people, but they were forced into an equation, which is again, okay, the double whole tooth pasta, where they had to either not have a farm, not have agriculture, and if you're a farmer, then you're a farmer, okay? Not have any of that, run into the same difficulty in another industry, or agree to adapt to slavery. And that is, I think, a problem that we have. I think a problem that Elon Musk is not exempt from. And that we need to think about, because we want to grow humanity, whether on Mars or on any other place that is joyous and thriving. If, you know, and as an astrologer, the 6th house is your employees and your pets. The 12th house, and I thank to Patrick Watson for the 12th house things, because the 12th house is your kettle, okay? Your ships, very simply put. And so the 6th house is your physical health. The 12th house is your mental health. And as a person who grew some stuff, okay, I'm not like a farmer or anything like that, but my entire ecosystem, my physical ecosystem would transform and as I'm growing, let's say, garlic, or as I'm growing like tomatoes, or when I need to water the soil, or when I build the half moons in the soil, okay, my entire life would change. So you understand that that you are connected, and I think anybody that's done in any way any sort of entrepreneurship or even politics or business or whatnot, the notion that those that are lower rank to you, your health is affected by what their situation is, okay? And also in real estate, okay, your tenants, they affect your health, and vice versa. Your health, it streams down, okay, and up as well. Same with leaders. I saw it so much in like the Iran issue. The minute I learned that my leaders are the expendable children that they didn't manage to murder, even if by chance, and what they had to do, which, like, you know, Holocaust death camp, it's kind of like it's something was happening there, where a lot of juxtapositions of oppositions were encountering, okay? And that really shows you, okay? I'm listening to Adam Ellenbus with the the Jupiter-Mercury opposition, okay? The reception between Jupiter and Mercury. He talked about the juxtaposition of two things that are paradoxes, okay? And I just had to stop. Like my mind was aroused at that point. I just had to stop and start recording. So I think about when we think about a new country or a new economy, or a new sense of politics, because all of that would be revised. We definitely think about decentralization. I think we should also be thinking open source, and this is where the idea for democracy comes from. The idea for democracy comes from the notion that the hive mind has an intellect, okay? The hive mind decision, and it has its pros and cons, especially when we talk about managing the problem of irregularities and rare cases, or the Aries problem, as I call it. But Aries is also the Übermensch, and we haven't quite solved it, you know, strategically. And then there are the issue of all the resources, because Aquarius is an air sign, and I kind of like that Uranus is still in Taurus for the time where Pluto ingresses to Aquarius, because we need the wisdom of the earth. We need the combination of air and earth. We cannot do the grand ideas without substance, but we also need to remember and learn from the past, okay? We also need to understand that the challenge, if you take it locally, the challenge of the Bitcoin phase, where the miners began to be corporations, and this is as much a challenge of your common business person or investor as it is a challenge of you yourself. And you would be surprised, we don't always look at things all that differently either, because at the end of the day, if I think about like building a company, I think about building a company where I'd be happy to be an employee, because essentially I am an employee of my company. That's my salaries. Okay, that's my that's what I take. That is what's registered on me. And unless I wish to participate in crooked crimes that will not make my life easier or more benefic, and definitely not my mental and physical health, then I need to be a good employee in my company, and build company that I would be happy to be an employee in. So, but also when it comes to big wealth, as person senses energy, and with the attempt of people to like mind control. So you can have an occasional visit at people's heads, and that is, and it's fantastic. And they have an occasional visit at yours. Okay, it's like it's just communication. But you see, for the simple life, okay, the notion of the simple life, and it doesn't mean the person doesn't have money in the bank or whatnot. It's just the notion that yes, they can change the currency, they can, and sometimes to sit and just watch the stars, is if those simple things in life give you a sense of proportion and reconnection with nature. I was joking that it's true that with the astrology that I do and the attempts to recruit me to MK Ultra, okay, that I ran into charts and energies that I wouldn't expect myself to mingle with, and that is a fantastic experience. And I was joking that with all that, what I'm building on for the currency change is like a canoe. And I was just watching a video of some cat named Louise, Maine Coon. The couples are to blame for my Maine Coon love. I didn't know about this brand of cats. Looks like a compromise between a dog and a cat. It's as big as a dog, but it's a cat and it's very fluffy. So, and anyway, that Maine Coon sails the tiny kayak with his owners every day, and then he has some fun with hedgehogs and wild fox. And the view is just so fantastic that it's in Germany, but I think they're close to the border with Netherlands, because I see kind of like, it looks like it's giving Netherlands. It's kind of like, I can't tell by the vicinity. And I was like, this is life. All the things we do in the world is just to get to take your cat on a kayak and then to visit the trees, and then like that this is life. And those simple things are, I think, are so simple, but became like privilege. Okay, either because people are enslaved to satanic ritual abuse, or because they work too hard, or because of corporations or whatnot. But essentially, we do want society that is not enslaved, because this is also healthy for everyone in society. This is really healthy for everyone in society, and the implication when it's not that way is big. Okay, the implication where it's not that way is big, and people are usually cut off from their senses, whether by satanic abuse or by just like the processed food or whatever. And there ain't nothing wrong. I'm drinking coffee with regular milk right now, so I'm not a good example, the best example of like being, I don't know, I'm just another normal human being. But the fact is that we are either overstimulated or completely numbed to sense the fact that from the top of the pyramid to the bottom of the pyramid, the joy and thriving and joy of living of people, or lack of, affects us. Okay? And and this is something that as we come to design for structures and be inclusive, we really need to like keep in mind, okay, it's not that what we do to humanity is something that it's not even about getting away from. It's just like it's affecting us. It's not even about karma. It's not like about you don't feel it, and then you feel it, okay? It's like you don't know that that's what you felt. You don't know that was the thing. And it's kind of, I was joking. I feel root of energy. I was joking about head of Nato, because he had a scandal with the kidnapped children and so on. It's like children being kidnapped by the welfare since antiquity. He was also subjected to satanic ritual abuse himself. So, and he had to have a whistleblower talking about this, and that and that is usually exposed as like, oh, that and that was a member of the Peter Ring, and it's like, oh well, the person that was abused by him and Wilders says, though they got abused as well. Okay, like everybody got abused there. So I was joking about I was doing a bingo expandable children games, and I said there must be one underneath his like mansion in the Brussels, the headquarters of NATO, and the headquarters of NATO in general. But I was joking that like those missing children or those rituals are kind of like the peas underneath between the mattresses of Sleeping Beauty, because and this is, you know, I think this is just so true. I remember when I was tending to my toenail fungi, and I received like, we are removing the plaster, removing the Gaza. It was before 7th October. And I felt like my entire body going hollow. And when they were conquering the land, I felt like we were losing land. I didn't feel like we were gaining land, because of course. And I felt like this hollow, like need grounding type of thing. And I think I'm not necessarily more sensitive than other people. It's just that people don't pay attention and don't know to make the connection for what affects what. So all in all, it's pretty much a random episode of thinking thoughts, and thinking of how we can improve for these things, for ourselves, for our humanity, and tend to these issues, because economy or politics or just being a human being and living on earth doesn't have to be torture and abuse, and then people trying to do the best of best and worst of worst all together just to like not incarnate here anymore. I just think that's not, like, there's something about that's not what it's about. So yeah, as for like elections in US, I tended to that, and it looked gnarly. Okay, it looks so yucky, and I my bet is that for the elections, it makes sense for the finale of Pluto in Capricorn that we'll have like a women president for the US, so it's probably Kamala. But I think that Trump and Elon Musk kind of like have a surprise for us, or even something that would surprise them when we ingress to Aquarius. You understand that when you talk about collapsing of banks, or Bank of America, or collapsing of even certain digital currency, is to bring about another currency, and I think Musk is going to play a big role in that. Or at least perhaps is hoping to play a big role in that. I think that a way out of this current like social credit score and MK Ultra controlled currency is really needed. If I go back to JP Morgan, who also had Pluto in Aquarius, he made a system that utilized debt to provide for people relative participation in economy that they didn't previously have. You can definitely say, well, that led us to the 29 crisis. Yes, and if we take it back to 2008, if you listen to your bank teller because you were helpless and you're saying this is a great opportunity to buy apartment and so on, and then Stanley Fischer in Israel said, we are not going to keep this level of interest for long, we're just playing with the interest, and you never heard of him, you never read an interview of him, and you listened to your bank teller, and you held 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 credit cards in your pocket already, where you're not even a business, and you got used to it and got used to it and got used to it. And meanwhile, people like me who refuse to say to you, I set your monthly return for $400, okay, kind of like the triple double size hole for the toothpaste, but this was the other way around, okay, I narrowed the hole of your monthly returns, so I give you almost between 15 to 20% and sometimes more interest on your, yes, I know black market loaners are like spiking their ears right now. It's like, I didn't know the bank does that. So the banks do that, and I refuse to say to you, for example, you never decided to take a loan, and I just decide for you, if you're buying $4,000, $5,000 a month, and Israel is monthly, and you pay $400, and then you computate the interest and take into account that this is compound. So it doesn't matter if you save your savings in the bank and have some humble interest on them, even if that interest is compound, it's not the inflation. Okay, it's that changing. Okay, if this is narrowing the toothpaste hole, but this time giving interest on every percentage you have left, and I refuse to do that. The implications on my isolation from society, the many times such economy and such jobs and such marketing was surrounding me, and when they were teaching the pyramid of Maslow, I was doing it upside down. I was doing it for Viktor Frankl, and I am right now reaching to the basic needs. Okay, I was doing the pyramid upside down way before you had a watermelon. Okay, but not for the same reasons, but that's very simply put. I was doing the economy of the Holocaust survivors rather than the economy of the third generation to Holocaust survivors that I was born into. And all around me, people were just living their life and allowing this to be, and not really stopping to think of for the implications, and just happy to make another extra buck. Okay, happy to cunningly do this, do that, not understanding that their compound interest compounds to a world war. And something in me that still even did not connect the dots already connected the dots, okay? And this is a system of enslavement that every business person knows right away. I'm getting kind of like the energy of Trump, because as business person, yes, you move money around, you need loans, and to some way it can like maybe serve you, but you need to constantly be moving money around and constantly be taking loans, and to hide that from your name, because you're going to lose some business, you're going to gain some business. Okay, you operating in markets, and before if I take it back to me, to agriculture. So before I was growing tomatoes, my first tomato, I thought it was just grass, and I ripped it off of the soil, and then I cried my heart out that I wasn't identifying that this was an actual tomato. Before I managed to grow the first thing, so I tried to grow sweet potato. Everybody said it's very simple, and then I did it, then I tried again, then I switched the sides, and nothing grew. And anybody would have given up at that point, but I didn't. That's the difference between why I'm building half moons that will build forests, and or Donald Trump. Yes, he inherited something, but he lost a lot of money, and why he's still managing a lot of wealth. And the difference between that and the people that grow a tomato, eat a tomato and leave it aside, okay? And where you find that part in your life where you do that, and there's a lot of grief and a lot of loss. Okay, I have lost at least as much as I have grown, and I think any person who invested in businesses can identify. So, of course, you're gonna need to move money, and of course, you're gonna need to move resources, and of course, you're gonna be losing money, and quite some of it. And the bank wants you to always be in debt, because that's what the bank needs you. The bank needs you enslaved, okay? And if what you invest in is, let's say, an agricultural business, or growing something that will grow into a forest, then as far as the bank goes, if that forest is burned to the ground and then regrown, and then there is hunger and strife and so on and so forth, your credit score is good. And I guess that's what I'm receiving from Trump, with the genuine question of how to beat that. Because you can adjust yourself to the market, but will you have a growing, thriving life? Maybe for some. Okay, I'm not sure. And when you think about our food and our land and our soil, you also think about a fertility, sperm count. People talk about women, sperm count. Okay, in Netherlands we have history of satanic ritual abuse that affects sperm count. That affects sperm count. Okay, that affects fertility. That's how we got biodiversity. That's how nature corrects for itself. But if we don't make it to, how should I say it? If there weren't inbred cults to begin with, then, but also culturally, if I take it to the wisdom of Wilders, he traveled to Islamic countries and he saw the way they treat women and children, and somebody he didn't want to copy into his wider culture. Okay, even if you go to satanic ritual abuse, you run into people that are a little bit out of it, so they have a little better treatment for the ladies and the children, and that's the people you'll be working with if you're a musician or politician. Okay, that's the people you'll be connecting with also on a soul level, and seeing that, okay, you want to mingle, but will that culture be appropriate to mingle with is also a question. Although sometimes those through those marriages and procreation there is some change. Coming to like the last 10 minutes. Definitely when we take the profit and economy to the extreme, we get really fuzzy results where nature begins to correct for itself. And I saw it with Chernobyl, where there was 7th of October. We didn't know if they're going to drop an A-bomb on us or not, or if they're going to send a rocket that will explode our little rotting textile factory. I mean, you think about the expiration date for A-bombs, that this is where things really get scary. So, the guy with the peas may have one underneath the mattresses. So, there's a reason they call safety houses safety houses. Safety houses is something you have where the intelligence or somebody just lives around the neighborhood, okay? Which was living like that for years. It's like it's just a place around the neighborhood. You just live around the neighborhood. Nobody suspects anything. In his case, he was known because he's prime minister for like a millennia. but that thing. but usually that there's a reason for that. Like you usually don't have a monastery or an A-bomb underneath your mattress. It's easier to sleep. So, or maybe you do. I don't know. So. Bingo expandable children. So yeah, I do feel that both Trump and Musk are going to like play a role for the Pluto Aquarius more so than we know. I just wish we find a way to kind of like not repeat the same mistake of JP Morgan and do something different, because I think young Trump was very early on raised to be as manipulative as possible, not just in form of trickery, but especially about the builders, the relation to builders. And I think that, if I take Dubai, for example, how it has affected Dubai, and the Bitcoin that was invested, if you connect, okay, how the builders were building and how that amounts to, okay, for how the Bitcoin, the JP Morgan generation of Bitcoin was investing in Dubai, then kind of like losing so much of their investment, even if they bought assets in Dubai. I know Maren Altman, okay, who is a musician and astrologer, but also entrepreneur in a techie app with investment with astrology. And she had, I think, a couple of assets in Dubai. I don't know if she still has them. And she decided she wanted to live in New York, okay? She decided she prefers to live in New York. Her women's rights would be better there. And then conservative, she was called white supremacy, which is disgusting given her ancestry and tradition, but I'm not going to say it now because I don't think it's safe. But that was an example of a person that grew up with this generation and know that Dubai stuff is not yielding. That it's not yielding when the people who build the place. Oh my gosh, this is such a. I don't think it's even a cautionary tale for Trump, because I think he knows that. But young Trump, he knew, like he definitely saw the big picture, and definitely received for like the understanding he will be where he is, with all those honorific degrees. But I'm definitely getting young Trump. There's something to do with young Trump that I might need to look at astrologically, with the real estate stuff, and I think that is when he got that he is going to be president of the United States, and he's a Eclipse child, so I don't know, but I wonder if he sees that how the domino cards play when it comes to the Masons, okay, the builders, slavery, the buildings, the JP Morgan generation of the double toothpaste hole, that type of economy, because that literally is like his life history, okay, that was during his life, and the collapse of Bitcoin, collapse of economies, and all these things. And I think that whatever the conversation, if there is one, probably is one with Trump and Musk, is we definitely don't want to do the same thing over in Mars, but we also, I don't know if we know how to have society without slavery. We definitely need to balance for yin and yang, and we cannot even rely on the Inuit and how they did that, because their infanticide and femicide basically contributed to the Mormons, the Mormon Church, the Mason Church, all the things that, you know, Orange Jesus should not stand for, even not even as Hyoka. But the thing is that entire humanity needs to be on board, because if I take a look at both Musk and Trump and from the Piscean side, Rute, or even myself to a degree, they're very accommodating. They work with what works. Okay, if something works, they will work with that. If tomorrow, I don't know, there's a great market of feminists, Trump will play into that. Okay, he would. He would. If we decide as humanity to put the value of abolishing satanic ritual abuse, which our elite people deal with, okay, if we decide that this is a value for us, and we want to do bingo expandable children, and we want to dig up the children, we want to do something about that, okay, that's accommodated. So not to idealize, it's not that there is no resistance, okay, but also if you think about Kim Jong-un, okay, supreme leader of North Korea, okay, now with the opening of the markets, the desire to be a part of the BRICS, the communion with Putin, the many prices, political prices he pays to do that, to send in troops to a place where a lot of people don't know about Russia. Okay, Russia, I haven't been there physically. I know that what people love about Putin is the great infrastructure. A lot of people don't know that. And I know from years that you can go to a rural grocery store and you will see things from entire world. And so North Korean troops are going to go and see that. And this is the Pluto square of Pluto squares for Kim Jong-un. Because that would need to be in North Korea, and it's not that he doesn't like that. If you read a little bit about him, he likes to, his vice is smoking, and he likes to drink, and he likes to joke around. So that is, okay, just the role in the persona. But then there is the fact that North Korea cannot stay North Korea. Okay, it's something to expand. Something must change, and that's a giant deal. And I think when it comes to settlement or colony on Mars, or when it comes to Aquarian Age, people expect it to be more freedom oriented. Okay. And I think J.P. Morgan played to that tremendously. If I thought about a patent idea that I had, and that was, hey, let's take my welfare money, let's take $1 from my welfare money and invest it transparently. I will have on the screen 24/7 screening what my dollar did, okay? What my dollar did. And let's see how that compounds, so people can have kind of like a JP Morgan but on screen footage of what it is. And I tried to pitch that, and nobody wanted to cooperate with me, but I managed to be at investment companies where the investment of our investment is investing in, and there were both public sector, private sector. I know that because of the desk receptionist person and the CEO, which gave me a meeting with the CEO, and I'm like, thanks, Fear and Sundry, opening doors, Mercury. And you think about the real estate that you're that your real estate company is sitting in. Like let's think about, you know, the headquarters of NATO. Okay, who owns the building? Okay, so that they are invested in those companies, so they wouldn't expose anything. And I said, well, that would be the greatest, because if we could, Age of Aquarius, and I didn't really use that. Age of Aquarius, people are going to look for transparency. Let's give it to them. And they were not willing to cooperate. I think that the fact that not identifying the blue ocean here, first of all, was not a problem, because it's a blue ocean. A company that Ronald Bernard it's the bluest of blue oceans. Okay, want to do that with Beats of Joy? I'm all in. The Musk has the ears. I'm still open to collaboration if that's done. But the fact, I don't think that they did not identify the blue ocean. What I think is that we don't want to know what they're invested in. Okay. Or the currencies they trade in. If I listen to Jaguar Wright, okay, what's done in the black music industry, it's not okay. It's not because they're blacks.